to the VAR Side Spurs podcast, coming to you all the way from the VAR Side Arms. Tonight I'm joined by Lee. How you doing, Lee?
Yeah, okay. Just still reeling from not being able to attend the North London derby, which the Goons chickened out of.
Yeah, but an unbeaten weekend, son.
Yeah, there's always that, I suppose.
Can't get let down if you don't play. That's the saying, isn't it?
Yeah. So Conte's still unbeaten anyway. Then
he is, yeah. He's probably organised it. He said, hold on, let's see how we get on with this. I fancy a weekend off. Also joined by Simon. How you doing, Simon?
I'm all right. Clean sheet. Happy days.
I don't need to know about that. I mean, I should hope your sheets are clean, but thanks for letting the listeners know.
You're all very welcome.
Feel very much enlightened. Okay, so let's crack on. We've got a cup. We've only got the one men's game to talk about, but we have got the women's game. I don't know if either of you watched the local derby against West Ham yesterday, because there was no obviously there was no North London derby, and I felt like I needed a fix of Spurs, and they were on Sky, so I watched it, and it was against West Ham. I didn't. It got a bit tasty. There were some challenges going in. There really were. It was quite good, actually. It was very competitive, and it was very much played in the spirit of a derby. So that was good to see. I think I was quite impressed, actually, from actually watching the women for the first time for a little while, that they seem a lot more organised as a team, as a unit, and very much much more aggressive in their approach to the game than I'd seen before. So really pressing hard to try and win the ball back. And we were actually, weirdly, because I think West Ham actually got into the Super League before us, they Spurs looked much the fitter and much faster and more aggressive in the game. So it was 0-0 at half time. Spurs dominated the ball, but apparently according to the half-time assessment, the West Ham had the better chances. Second half, Spurs continued to dominate the game. Got a penalty, third penalty. The West Ham defender seemed to lose her head a little bit. Started to go in for silly challenges, and then did that in the penalty area. Got us a penalty, scored the penalty. Carried on dominating the game. The same player that gave away the penalty then proceeded to get sent off a little while later for a second bookable offence. But typical Spurs, I think I've mentioned this before, actually, that the women don't seem to score more than one goal in a game. And that was the case. They haven't dominated the game, and a few typically Spursy kind of wrong decisions, I think, in and around the box. Kept it at 1-0 all the way into the second minute of injury time, which gave West Ham the opportunity to go up the other end and score an equaliser. And the equaliser was a good header, but it happened to be from a lifelong West Ham fan. So she fucking milked it, and Sky Sports milked it, and they followed her around for half an hour while she was on the pitch celebrating a draw. And by the time they got to want to do the interview at the end, I just turned off. I couldn't be asked to listen to her going on about how wonderful that she thought that would have been. So, but anyway, so that was the Spurs West Ham game. So we had the Spurs Chelsea in the Carabao Cup semi-final. We have got some football to talk about, so let's talk about the football we have got to talk about. So, what were your thoughts? I made some notes somewhere, but I can't remember where I put them. So this is good, be quite interesting. But yeah. So we had So we had Galini starting that game. That game. That was a bit of a surprise. Simon, did you watch the game?
I did watch it. It wasn't. I don't think it was particularly good. I mean, obviously we're starting off in a difficult position, which is 2 goals down. But I just think the whole thing was just a bit turgid, really, wasn't it? A bit painful to watch. You kind of just felt that we were. Well, I don't know. I just didn't. I didn't think after 15 minutes we got a chance of actually really putting this back or doing something magical. There was a few sporadic, pit pockets of good stuff, but we were definitely on the back foot, and definitely on the underdogs. I think for most of it, it wasn't a particularly impressive performance.
Yeah, I agree. Lee, I mean, I think Simon's right in terms of the actual, the performance and the approach, and it's stark contrast, as I say, to how Spurs women approach their corresponding London derby against Chelsea in terms of being on the back foot and not really having much of the possession. Do you feel that Conte's lineup contributed to that somewhat?
Yeah, I think it was a bit of a strange lineup, really. Galini in goal was perplexing. If we want to win this game, which clearly we didn't, you wouldn't have put Galini in goal. I mean, to be honest, I'd have rather put Serge Aurier in goal, who had apparently had a few minutes for the Ivory Coast the other day. I mean, and then Doherty. It just. I mean, the only way I thought we could ever win this, as a friend of mine pointed out, was that Chelsea would have laughed their bollocks off seeing that bloody side, and we would have walked a couple in while they were rolling about on the floor laughing, because they were it was a really poor side. So that one I think is on Conte, but I think I'm not sure he believed that we could really turn that one around. I'm not,
I think you're right. I think it might have been a bonus victory.
Yeah,
really, if we won it, because
that
as
said,
you say, that.
Sorry, Steve. I was going to say, that said, surprisingly, we didn't play as badly as I thought we might do, given that lineup. I mean, I know obviously Gollum threw one in the net, but I always thought that they would get one, and that would then be beyond us anyway. So to keep it at 1-0. And we did have a few chances. I mean, we had 3 that without VAR would have sent us through. So I mean, it's possible because they were given 2 penalties were given, and the goal was given.
Yeah.
So that's possible, but I mean, of course, that's all ifs, buts, and maybes because there is VAR. But I had just a sneaking suspicion, ironically, that we had one eye on the North London derby.
Yeah, I think you're right. You mentioned Doherty starting, and you kind of think, given that Conte brought on Sessegnon later on in the piece, you're right. A lot of the selection kind of indicates that really he already thought that the tie was beyond us, or as I say, if we managed to pull it back, it would have been a bonus. I think the way the team started out, I think they thought it was beyond us, and then there was a few bits and pieces that happened that kind of encouraged them on to try and play higher up the pitch. But effectively, it felt like it was an exercise in containment in the first half. Can we contain Chelsea and not concede any more goals, and then we'll have a go at them probably in the last 15 to 20 minutes, which is what we still ended up doing, even though we'd conceded. Even though we conceded, we still, I think we had a little brief burst at the end of the first half for about 10 minutes where we really kind of had a couple of breakaways and looked like we were going to splutter into life a little bit. And then but the second half I thought was a lot brighter. Actually, I thought we were a lot more aggressive in the second half.
Pochettino.
Sorry,
just say it's quick. There was sort of echoes of Pochettino in that team selection, wasn't there? Because he never really took the cup too seriously. So, the team selection kind of reminded me of that a little bit, really.
So does that really? A lot of people, certainly the the anti-ENIC brigade maintained for a long time that the agenda is set from on high, and that top four is more the priority than winning a League Cup. And does that selection confirm that? We'll take this opportunity to welcome a straggler, Jamie. So welcome, Jamie. I know you're a staunch ENIC out, so give you a chance to jump in on this.
Am I ENIC out?
Oh, are you not?
No, I didn't say I was.
We have discussed this in the past, that everyone on the pod has to have a personality and has to have has to have a backstory. So I've decided that your backstory is now that you're ENIC out. So
right, okay. So I don't have a personality, so I've got to make one up, have I?
I didn't say that.
Oh, right, okay.
I didn't say that.
Well, and a darts cheat as well. Don't forget.
Oh, come on! You just
jealous, aren't you? The problem is, Jay. The problem is, right, when you were speaking there, you left a pause, you left the gap, and that gap was enough for Lee to jump in and with the darts aspersions. You know that you shouldn't. There can't be any space for pauses. You just got to make your point, plough on, mate. Otherwise, he's just going to jump in there and have it.
I just gave that one to Lee as a freebie, really. I teed him up just to make him happy. But going back to the football, there isn't really anything else to add, really, apart from agreeing that, the selection was bizarre. Putting Galini in goal, or Dracula, as I call him, because he's afraid of crosses. It was shocking. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen Galini make a save. He just seems to stand there, doesn't he, and just watch the ball go past him. So I think in the build-up to the game, I think we were all fairly confident, for some bizarre reason, that we could have turned them over and done the job. I think it was mainly because we did them. Was it 5-3 in the League Cup? Was it about 20 years ago? And that gave us that sort of false hope that we could do it. But as soon as the team sheet came out and Galini was in goal, I think everyone lost their confidence, really. And also, I was just going to mention as well that there was only 45,000 there in the stadium, which, 17, 18,000 under capacity. I obviously know that, COVID has been a factor in people not attending games, but 17, 18,000.
So hold on. Missing. So if you, I mean, obviously there is COVID as a factor, because I've missed a couple of games where I've just decided that actually I didn't want to take the risk. But about a minute ago, you said that we were all confident. Now, I don't think that we were all confident. I think that's just hopeless optimism. And I don't think that the fact that there was 18,000 or whatever missing indicates that actually that they were confident either. Otherwise, we would have had surely nearer to the 60,000 capacity. If we as fans were confident, we'd have had nearer to the 60,000 attending for what they thought would have been like a memorable night to celebrate. Surely, I think
there's a fine line between hopeless optimism and confidence, and the line is often blurred.
18,000. It's 18,000. Is that the line?
Well, the majority were there, weren't they? Hopeless, optimistic idiots.
Yeah.
So
I was there. Yeah, thank you. I was one of those. Yeah. I was one of those hopeless, optimistic. Talking of, I mean, the 40,000 or the 40 odd thousand that were there, it again were like, we were, like surrounded by Chelsea fans, like within the home end, because there were four people in front of me, right? Three men and a child, and the two men and one of the children were Spurs fans, and one of the guys there was a Chelsea fan, and he kept every time, as soon as Chelsea came out came his phone, and he was on Snapchat and he was snapping away and all this bollocks, and then he. When they got cornered, he was snapping away. And when they scored, and I do want to